Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching, listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me for another moment of encouragement. Family, we have a topic on our hands for today. As I told you last week, with the topic being vulnerability, I said that this week we would go a little further into that with a new topic, which is breaking cycles. I've been thinking a lot lately about cycles, be they personal cycles that we've developed for ourselves, be they generational cycles. I've been doing a lot of reflection as of late, and cycles have been coming up a lot. One of which, for me personally, being a generational cycle that I'm working right now to break. And it's interesting because I wonder how often we think about cycles in our lives and how they manifest, how they continue to present themselves in our journeys. And in addition to that, I wonder how much we think about the work that's involved in breaking certain cycles for ourselves, for our families, for our relationships. So if we can get personal for a moment, after all, that's what this work is about. One of my major cycles that I've been trying to work through is actually a generational one, and it has to do with my relationship with strength. I come from a family of women who are very strong and who have had to deal with a lot. And watching them navigate their journeys has been a very interesting thing, one of which being my mother. I was talking to my sister this past week, and I mentioned to her that my mother is one of the most mysterious people I know. Now, don't get me wrong, we're close, we're able to have intimate discussion. I feel like I know my mother, but in certain ways, I feel like I don't know my mother, if that makes sense. I will say that with age, I've definitely been able to understand my mother more. And though we may not agree on everything, coming into my own womanhood, I definitely have been able to see her more and more as time goes by, which I am very grateful for. But in watching her throughout my life, I do know that she has gone through a lot. And there are many things that I've watched her go through that we've never talked about, that she doesn't talk about. So I was able to recently talk with her, and I communicated that to her. And her response was, I don't feel that it's necessary to talk about everything because I don't want you to worry. I feel that there are things that are best dealt with on one's own. And here is the kicker that I'm sure many out there can relate to. She said that there are some things that are not necessary for me to share with you because I am your mother. Now, trust me, I have heard that line before, but it baffled me because at this point, we're both women. And I'm sure that there are things, at least one thing, that she's gone through that I can relate to in my experience as a woman now. But to hear her blatantly and confidently say that she is essentially willing to not share her pain, what she's feeling, on account of being a mother, as if in some way that protects us, it really set me aback. And then what really threw me as if I could not be thrown anymore, was her reasoning for it in saying that she came from a generation where there are some things that you just don't tell a child. There are some things that are not children's business, even though we're all adults now, right? But there are some things that children don't need to know. And that is when I realized that there is a generational cycle of unhealthy relationships with strength. Here is my mother firmly believing that she is protecting her children by not disclosing certain things she may think, certain things she may feel, certain things that she could use support with. But she chooses not to share on account of maintaining some form of strength, being strong for the rest of us. And I realize that I do the same thing. I do the same thing. I find that I'm very good at being the supporter, but I've never really been the one to be supported. And with this discovery, I see that there is need to break this cycle. Now, don't get me wrong. I do enjoy, I'm not sure if this is out of habit, but I do enjoy and appreciate the strength that my mother has taught me, that her mother has taught her. I do appreciate it, but I think in all things, there needs to be balance. There needs to be a balance in being able to be strong and being willing to be vulnerable. Because like we discussed last week, vulnerability is strength. So I encourage myself today to continue to do the work to break the unhealthy aspects of this cycle, to bring more balance to it. And with all this, I encourage you to do the same. Now, it may not be this particular cycle that you have, whether it's personally developed or generationally built, but I encourage you to take stock of the cycles in your life that need reflection, that need improvement, that need breaking and extraction completely. Because it is worthy work. So again, I encourage us to break cycles, to break free, to have more self-awareness, to have more self-honesty, to remove the chains and bring more freedom to our lives. So with all that, I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. I thank you for tuning in these past few weeks, and I hope that you will continue to in the future. Have a happy and healthy week. Be sure to do the work in self-awareness and breaking any cycles that you might have. Take the first step, and I will talk to you soon.